Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your co-hosts, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass. Hope you're all doing well tonight. I am joined, of course, by my two fellow co-hosts, Mr. Ainsley Bowden, the man who's reviewed Diablo 4 from Season Gaming. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I am really good. 2 days left until official Diablo launch. Us reviewers do not currently have access. It was locked down. So we launch at the same time as everyone else on Thursday for early access. And it is a game that is going to take over my life. So I'm very excited. I already have Friday off of work. I've got Red Bull, a case I bought today, sitting right over there. I'm ready to rock, man.
Red Bull. Now that surprises me. I would not take you for a Red Bull person, given your health.
Oh yeah, diet Red Bull and vodkas are like my vice. That's my that's my drug.
Okay,
that's about all I do nowadays.
Yeah, I was like, Lane's
Diet Red Bull. They
Diet Red Bull.
Diet Red Bull.
Your Diet John Wick is what you are. And of course, to his right, I guess you would say your left, whatever. To the right of Mr. Ainsley Bowden is
the sweaty one.
The sweaty one, host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, Mr. Joseph Moran. Hey, buddy.
I'm running around, running away from all the PlayStation Showcase drama is what I'm doing, and I've caught a sweat doing it. You know?
Yeah. Well, I hear that Jim Ryan's out there changing PlayStation into a live service company. It's like he's trying to make that company do well, or I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy. So, well, boys, it's been too long. All of our schedules consistently kept hitting us each week. So here we are. We're hanging out with Big Mad Mo, Loop 73, Dinero Primo. What up,
Diego?
Gamefire in the house. So good to see you guys. Guys, it has been a while since we got to podcast together, and a lot has happened. The PlayStation Showcase brought a ton of news. I called it PlayStation's third-party showcase, which, by the way, I enjoyed it. I liked that showcase. Thought it was a good one. Caught some flack for that one. We've got the embargo lifts for both Street Fighter 6. Amazing. I've been playing that. And Diablo 4. Amazing. Ains has been playing that. Pretty darn wild, all things considered, guys. It's been a time.
Yeah.
It's been busy.
It's been real busy. And to think that we've gotten 3 what's considered best in class games of their genres in the span of a month has just been nuts. Like, I've been playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You know, you guys have been playing Street Fighter and Diablo, and we're all just loving our experiences with said games. And I feel like that's being missed on a lot of folks as of late, you know.
And last time we talked Star Wars. So, like not just 3 best in class, 4. It's wild, man.
And before that, we had Hogwarts, and we had Hi-Fi Rush, and we had Dead Space, and we had Resident Evil 4. It's been a wild year. And I want to say one thing about that, too, because I don't know about you guys. I got a lot of people around that constantly talking about how AAA games always launch broken and unfinished. And I'm like, there are some that do. We know that, right? We've all experienced that. But I mean, let's think about the games we're talking about right now, right? I mean, Dead Space had some issues on PC, but overall, these are all fantastic games that have all launched incredibly well.
Well, except for Survivor, but yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Well,
Survivor was fixed within a week and a half, which isn't launch. That's not launch. But I think a lot of people that are picking that one up and playing it, they're still getting a great experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're making a good point, Ains. Amidst all of that, some really high profile games have launched quite well, and
very complex games, right? We're not talking about simple, like Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6 obviously has, we're talking about games that are on all platforms, cross play, online multiplayer, connections, and things are rolling, man.
Big time.
And they continue to, like G-Man in the chat says, like, yo, we got Final Fantasy 16 in a few weeks.
In 3 weeks, man. Jesus.
Yeah. And I'll plug Trophy Room for a minute. You guys had on a voice actor from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Small show. Yeah, small show for you guys.
Small show. We have Ben Starr on, the lead actor in Final Fantasy 16, which we got a message from Square. They're like, could you push that interview a little back because we have some things cooking? And I'm like, all right, fine, we'll launch it. So
You were like, no, we do it on time.
Exactly. So we're gonna launch that the day of that game's release. I thought
cool.
Time, so yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
That'll probably hit even harder, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, all things considered, that's gonna even hit even harder.
Yeah, because people are going to be looking up a ton about that time, and I mean, by all accounts, it's going to review extremely well. I presume so.
Yeah, absolutely will.
I had an interesting conversation when we were doing a recent XEP interview with a voice actor. It was the Erica Limbeck one, and we were talking off air, but it wasn't like a secret. It was one of those things of, when are you going to put this out? What if I say something I don't want to say or not? Will you edit it? I was like, yes, absolutely. And she's like, oh, some places wouldn't. And I was like, well, that just seems crazy because I want you to work with me again. I want your companies to be willing to work with me again. I want you to spread the word that you're willing to work with me. And as a podcaster, content creator, etc., it would be bad to push stuff when they don't want it, you know?
Yeah. That's what we say every time we have an interview. It's like, anything you don't want me to say, just go, hey, edit that out, and I edit it out.
Yeah, I'd say the same, but I think the three of us are just those type of people, right? That's why we enjoy each other's content. That's why we do a show together, is because that's how we behave with people, and that's why PR people like us. I have seen we all have, I think, some kind of screenshots of emails and posts that people have made towards PR, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, how entitled do you think you are? Like, it's bizarre. So,
like, real talk, I made an oopsie. I emailed the wrong PR place about the wrong.
Are you sending death threats again?
Yeah. I was just like, listen, there's a bomb in your office. I'll tell you where. I get this code.
I'll tell you where if you give me the code.
Exactly.
Shout out to Jordy. What's up, man? From Complete Xbox. Good to see you.
Jordy?
Yeah.
Nice. I love Jordy.
How are you, sir? But yeah. So and they're like, oh, you meant to message these folks, and I just went, oops, my bad. Apologies. Like, sorry, I flooded your inbox. And like, no problem. We've been getting that a lot. So it's like, okay, cool. I don't feel like that bad. But yeah, like, some people are like, literally, I've gotten emails of like, I want 2 copies of this. Bye. I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's
okay. Have fun with that. Good luck.
There was one recently where it was a small outlet. I mean, smaller than SG. And they were like, yeah, we're going to need 4 codes. We got one person doing guides, one person doing a video. And I'm like, what? Like, who are you? Like, I don't know. Like, just creating a channel or a podcast or a site, as we all know, doesn't entitle you to zip all.
And real talk, for those of you who are curious, like, to me, the gold standard would be a greeting. Hi, my name is, from the organization. Put some links back to your content so they know. Tell them a little like tweet about your content, right? Like what it is, and then a bullet list, like point list of what you plan to do, and then be gracious towards the end. Throw some links in there. Like I have the Apple and Spotify link, and then I have my media like kit that I show them all the cool stats and figures. And that's how you reach out to PR, for what I've even learned. So, do that. Don't be like, I need.
It's not even hard.
No,
not even hard.
It is not difficult to be polite, and it's never worth $60, $70 for a code for you to burn a bridge with people that you're hoping to meet and interact with on a regular basis.
Yep.
Plenty of people have turned down XEP or Luke Lore. Plenty of people have graciously let me punch above my weight or whatnot, and it all comes from being polite, and like. We've talked many times how one of the three of us will get something that the other one won't. Sometimes we can't figure out the rhyme or reason, but it never justifies us to be cruel or rude or disrespectful.
Oh,
because like, all right, I'll wait a week. 60.
Who cares?
Right.
I'll pay for the thing. I'm just lucky enough I get a code, so that's cool. That's fine. A lot of people feel like they deserve it. It's just it annoys me.
Yeah, and honestly, I was just telling some other people that we reviewed Diablo 4, obviously a massive game, massive undertaking, and thankfully they give us plenty of time. We've had it for weeks. But it was test accounts. They provided test accounts that got wiped on Friday. We lost access on Friday. Everything was wiped.
Did that hurt, by the way?
Oh, God. It hurt a lot.
Yeah, it hurt. Yeah.
I had about, we were trying to count hours. You couldn't track hours on the accounts. But Travis and I were somewhere. I want to say he was around 80 plus hours, and I was at 70, probably 70-ish, 75.
God damn.
And so I was a level 55 on my main character. I created each class as well. So, I mean, a lot of time and effort. But anyway, but they even told us, the point was they even told us, like, even though you've done all this for the review process, like, codes are not guaranteed, like, for the launch of the game. Like, they didn't already give us a code. So nothing's guaranteed in that vein. Shout out to Seeds in the chat. Good to see you, brother.
Hello.
I see Strubles and Bits.
Stroops, what's up, my dude?
Lucius is here. Kev's here.
Yep. Very cool.
They're keeping up with our 2 week on, 8 week off, 4 week on, 3 week off schedule that we do cast co-op on here.
Well, that's why, like, this is all for fun. We do it when we can. And we've just been really busy. It's just been a busy few weeks for all of us. So I'm happy to be back into it. I want to just get the boring stuff out of the way that I've talked about a million times and you guys have talked.
Why is PlayStation dead, Joe?
I don't know, man. I think Jim Ryan hates PlayStation. I think he hates the community.
How could he not?
I think now the PlayStation 5 is a time exclusive box. And Ratchet and Clank killed PlayStation.
Always
feels
has.
like it. Yeah.
Always has.
Yeah.
Well, what boring stuff did you want to get out of the way?
That PlayStation showcase. Let's just get it out. Let's just talk about it so we can be done with it. You know, so I could talk to you guys about Diablo and Street Fighter.
Okay.
You know?
I will start on that one because as a I have a PlayStation. There are several games from that showcase I'm gonna play on my PlayStation. So excited for Helldivers and Spider-Man and such. I saw a lot of pushback from the PlayStation community saying this was not what they wanted after a 2-year hiatus. My thought was I left this showcase with 8 games that I'm looking forward to playing, and that was really cool because like usually you want 2 or 3. I got 8. And I wasn't bothered by what box I would play it on. Now, the other aspect of that, and Joe's is where I would like you to speak on it. To me, a PlayStation showcase is a PlayStation showcase, and I get that there are state of plays. I get that there are other elements, but to me, a first party talking to an audience is a first party talking to an audience. And I don't know if they didn't set expectations properly, but I saw a well curated, great list of partnerships and stuff. They had Alan Wake there. I mean, that to me is a big deal because that was once an Xbox thing. And like, I just saw some good stuff out of PlayStation on this one, but I was in the minority. Yeah. So why was I in the minority here?
Because go for it, Nance.
Sorry, Joe. I was going to say, I kind of partially agree with you, Luke. I think that, I think you're right. If you let's separate out for a second the fact that it was a PlayStation showcase and the first one in 620 days. And someone told me that, which is why that sticks in my head. If you set that aside and just look at this as a game showcase, it's a pretty good show, generally speaking. I think the problem, which I think Joe is probably going to go towards because he's been making the rounds, as someone said, Joe's been all over shows this past week. But I think the problem is expectations were higher because PlayStation supposedly first party showcase, right? First one in 620 days, so nearly 2 years. PlayStation fans have really been waiting for a showcase again. And it's the first basically at the end of May, which means it's leading into summer showcase season, right? So you've got Summer Game Fest next week. You've got Xbox in a week and a half. You've got Ubisoft and, all the ones. I don't have to list them. But so I think there was, you can argue it was right or not, but I believe it was kind of fair expectations going into this to think this should really kind of blow people away and kind of show what PlayStation has for their audience for the next 12 to 24 months, like a usual showcase, right? And instead, what we got was a good show of third-party games that are coming pretty soon that I'm excited about. Like you said, Alan Wake 2 is a huge one for me. Assassin's Creed Mirage looks great. A lot of people pumped for that. I think there's a lot of good games shown there. but it's just not what was expected of that specific show. That would be how I would word it.
Bingo. As a PlayStation fan, you want to know what the next 12 to 24 months are. And I think that's always like the question leading into any showcase is like, what are you going to show me that I'm going to be excited for? Yeah, the holiday, early next year, and give me that roadmap. The 12 to 24 months afterwards, like what Ain said, and we still have those questions after the showcase. And I think that's the true problem here. It's like, not that the showcase was bad, because if you, let's just say if PlayStation had a showcase last year and followed it up with this one, sure, it'd be considered a little bit weaker, but I don't think the expectations would have been as high, and I think it would have been a better showcase for it, if that all makes sense. Again, I've been running around all day, so I don't know if my brain's working well. But because of the long absence, what we got was, hey, here's a lot of our partnered content for the next 6 months, and I don't know, your guess is as good as mine as what's after Spider-Man. And kind of, walked away with us asking the same questions we had coming into it. Yes.
Yeah, someone said, just to break it down before we respond, Luke, someone said it was 33 games, good showcase, right? In theory. Only 5 were first party, and of those, only 1 had gameplay, which of course was Spider-Man, which we already had seen.
Yeah.
So you got 0 gameplay of any new first party game.
Well, you saw a little bit of Helldivers. I'll push back a little. Like you saw them. It wasn't like a deep dive or anything, but you saw a little bit of it.
And why are they making that Starship Troopers, by the way? Like, I swore that was a Starship Troopers game. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying it kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
The first one could have been a Starship Troopers game, rebranded. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But
yeah,
I was bummed it wasn't.
Did it.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed the formula of Helldivers 2. I wanted it to be more of the first one.
Isometric kind of.
Yeah, I kind of liked that, but I'm in because I love Helldivers.
It looks cool.
I think what we saw for PlayStation was we saw 3 things kind of in perpetuity there. First, we saw the sequel element, and I'm not the first person to say this. I think Jeff Grubb made a video on it, and I think that's kind of what I'm pulling on here. But you saw a lot of sequels for PlayStation, and sequels are not as easy as one would think. And we're pushing into territory of, all right, now you got to do a third. Like, you need new ideas, you need freshness. So Sony they've got their sequel to Horizon is out. The sequel to Spider-Man is coming out, but they've already had Miles out there. So it's the third Spider-Man. The luster might be difficult for some. You had Horizon sequel and then a VR element to Horizon. And The Last of Us 2 is out. And so, like, they're into a territory where they need newness, and they may not just be ready yet, right? That might be
I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we are in that we're seeing PlayStation's patience now having to kick in. I see Alex in that chat.
Oh, did I really screw it up? Listen, Alex, you go run around.
How did 3 of us not notice that?
I don't know.
I didn't look. He changed my thumbnail. He changed it from what I had it at.
He did.
Alex,
Usually, the funny thing is, I corrected Joe on his thumbnail like last week, and I didn't even notice that this one was.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Oh, Diablo 6.
I guess he put 6.
Yeah,
you idiot.
I haven't reviewed that one. I don't know if that's any good.
Yeah, it may not be. Right. May not be.
Sure, you have a new thumbnail. I'm
so
embarrassed. I'm eating so much.
I'm glad you call it out, Alex, because I've been so busy. I think 3 of us have that I didn't even notice.
I
just
too,
threw it up.
because Joe correctly said we should change it from what my idea was, which was the right thing, but he screwed it up so bad. This makes me look good.
Yeah. I did it all on my phone, by the way. I'm like really
great job, man.
I was proud of it, because I've been running around all day, like since 6 a.m.
He's so stupid.
Such an idiot.
He's so incompetent. You see what we work with here?
Right, it's ridiculous. So to loop back, we have a sequel problem with PlayStation. We have PlayStation trying to kind of adapt from what was in the pipeline, and they could work through a COVID era. And now we're seeing a supplemental effect, right, of what they could get ready, what they couldn't get ready. I think that we're seeing kind of the second and third waves of what the COVID pause did for some companies. And in their case, it's probably fresh and new ideas because their stuff is so elite. The standard is higher. And then kind of lastly, we're seeing a transition of strategy. They are moving into a games as service, live service approach to some of their franchises, and I think some people are looking at that in a negative way. And simply put, I respect and understand why, because PlayStation excels at single player narrative experiences in the AAA category, and they are just top notch. So we've come to expect that over and over again. But there's a reason they got Firesprite. There's a reason they got Bungie. There's a reason they brought in this talent. I see you, Joe. And I would argue that's what Xbox does well. And so we're seeing kind of a shift into, wait, this is not what we're used to. What does that mean? And to be clear, none of them spell tragedy for PlayStation. If anything, it should be exciting.
Well, and it's clear to that point. I agree with you, and it's clear that they're not stopping their current. Like,
right.
we've talked about this, right? If you look at their investment and what they're developing long term, their investment for single player narrative driven games, which obviously is what they're kind of known for, isn't slowing down. In fact, it's bigger than what they currently have because their overall investment in game development is larger. It's just that a percentage of it, a good percentage of it, to be fair, is going towards live service delivery. So,
yeah, one is
but I think it's
the other.
Exactly. But I think it is fair to question. They have to deliver, right? We know they can deliver a good single player narrative game. That's what they've done for several years now, consistently. They haven't delivered a successful live service game yet. And so, and as we all know all too well, live service delivery is effing tricky, right?
Yeah.
So they've got to prove that yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to that showcase talk, and I like how Jeff Grubb has kind of vindicated me here, because I've been saying this since they've announced, hey, or I've talked about them entering the live service arena of going, don't expect most of these games to succeed. Like, most
absolutely.
of them are going to fail. Because PlayStation's never done something like this before. So, like, expect most of these games to not do great, which is honestly a detriment to the brand because we know them for quality. And again, that's why you're seeing them hire devs, and that's why you're seeing them cancel projects that they're not, or they don't believe in. So we're seeing that some of these live service games aren't even making it. Right? Like, they are getting rid of some of the ones that they don't have faith in and keeping the ones that they do. And that's why when we talk about Bungie stepping in there and assessing all these games and assessing the Naughty Dog situation,
I just want to see Neil Druckmann's face as someone from Bungie says, yeah, what you're doing here, this ain't gonna work. Well, I just want to see his face. I just want to see his face.
I think what Travis said on Bitcast is 100% right. They wanted to do this single player element that grows with you, and Bungie probably came in, stepped in, going, "We tried this, and this will not work because we tried it in the first game, and it bit us in the ass really bad. Something that they're still recovering from. So they're like, this needs to be shrunken down. Like." There's been issues out the gate with the live service element, and that's what gets me a little nervous as a PlayStation fan, of just like, we're wasting Naughty Dog's time here. They could go make a superb single player game. PlayStation should be looking outward for those experiences, and for the most part they have, but like, to me, yeah, Naughty Dog should not have been working on this for as long as
I agree. We talked about that on Sunday too, and it's like, even if you do want to make some type of Last of Us component for multiplayer to capitalize on the IP, you don't necessarily need Naughty Dog doing that, because Naughty Dog's brilliance, right? Generally speaking, the brilliance of Last of Us was not the gameplay. It just wasn't. The brilliance of Last of Us was the narrative and the characters and the kind of development, right? So, yeah, yes. So, let another developer kind of take the meat, if you will, of developing the actual gameplay and core loop and whatever that live service delivery looks like, and just have people from Naughty Dog kind of help out with the character design, environmental design, etc. would be a smarter move. Now, of course, it's easy to sit here and say that, right? Sure. I don't know what that looks like in reality, but seems to make more sense.
And PlayStation, I want to say they dabbled in live service stuff at various points. Remember they tried Kill Strain? I have that platinum. I'm like one of the 6 people that
Oh,
like that game.
really?
Yeah, I have that platinum. It took work. Like it was a very small community, but they were trying it. And there were a couple other during the PlayStation 4.
I feel like that should be a
era.
warning sign, though. If
Oh,
Luke
absolutely.
really likes your game, you
Yeah,
should go to your
absolutely.
We need to reassess.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe this is why
right
he
here.
gets codes so early. You know what I mean? They're like, let's see what Luke thinks of this, and then maybe we delay launch.
Shit, he loves it. Oh.
Me and Xbox era. But they did dabble and try some live service
did.
stuff, and
They
that's
have.
I think what led to them bringing in some other elements. I have a question, and I don't want to go into it, but I'm curious.
Okay.
Does ABK affect their PlayStation Showcase?
No, doesn't matter.
I don't think
right.
so.
Okay.
No. Let's tackle Mo's question when you want to get to it, though.
Okay, don't lose it. I have one more question. Do you expect?
And you can see the orange box. Yeah.
I don't see. Okay. Do you expect that we see a first-party Sony title at Summer Game Fest that we didn't see at the showcase?
Nope.
So that's kind of what Mo's asking. Do we think that Sony it's fine. Do we think they held back anything for Summer Game Fest? And I generally think from a first party perspective, probably not.
No. So here's what I genuinely think. That I think Sony thought they had a good show. And then when the stream turned off and they saw the reaction, I think, were very shocked. I think they legitimately thought they had a good show. And I think this has kind of thrown them off. And when we hear, well, was Sony holding back? I don't buy that narrative. When people ask the question, like I've seen some folks go and like Tom Henderson's like, I've seen things. Like I don't know why they weren't in the showcase, you know? And even like the leaker, the snitch, right? Who even said like, hey, there's supposed to be a game, an exclusive that comes out in July, and lo and behold, it's Ratchet and Clank. So they're like, we've seen things, and it would have made a better show. And it is, it has me curious as to why PlayStation held back on those things, but I don't think they're going to run over to Jeff going, hey, Jeff, we had a really bad showcase. Here's Last of Us Part 3 and just show it off. I
don't think that's what's happening, but I do think they would give Keighley something for Summer Game Fest to build and keep the relationship. I don't think of that as holding back either. Yeah. I think that's strategic, and there's a lot of eyes on Summer Game Fest in a different way. If you're watching a PlayStation showcase, you're interested in PlayStation. If you're watching Summer Game Fest, there's a chance you're not interested in PlayStation specifically, and this might bring you in. And that's an argument. I'm not saying it's the only or the reason, but to me, it's like, oh, maybe you do have something for Summer Game Fest or for Game Awards.
I like what Fifth String wrote in the chat. They'd give him like Death Stranding 2 or Rise of the Ronin or even Stellar Blade. Like those are 3 games that I'd possibly give out to them. But I don't think that was ever the plan as to like, oh, we had a poor showcase here. Here's a game. You know,
Summer Game Fest will basically be done right now anyway. I mean, that lineup would be done. It's not like they were
exactly.
You know what I mean? Those are finished weeks and weeks and weeks in advance.
Weeks in advance. So, you know, then it comes to the rumors of, oh, well, I've heard that there's another showcase. And
no.
And to that, I'm like, of course there's going to be. Of course. We're going to get at least 2 of them, and they're called State of Plays. Like the only reason, guys, the only reason that I can think in my head that this showcase they quote unquote held back was that when they announced the redesign of the PlayStation 5, probably sometime in like between end of July to mid-August, here's the future of like PlayStation alongside this like kind of like a, you know, like a redesigned PlayStation 5. Like here's what you can expect from the future of PlayStation. Here's the new shiny box. Sure. But I don't think that's the case. And maybe they have a state of play like they usually do in around, you know, late October, maybe to early December, where you see the first half of what PlayStation has planned with its partners, like Suicide Squad and maybe Rise of the Ronin. But other than that, that's it.
Say Suicide Squad again.
Suicide Squad. That's really immature.
I'm one of the. I felt like you with Suicide Squad, Luke. I was like one of the few that was actually like, "Oh, this looks fun," and everyone was like, "This game looks terrible." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sorry."
I'm just over DC's stuff. So one of the things that frustrates me about this is we're expecting companies now to have something for their own showcase, for Summer Game Fest /E3, for the Game Awards, and to give us a constant state of euphoric, perfect Starfield, Ghost of Tsushima level announcements. And I think that's also unrealistic because I go back to, and I'm going to loop it back because I want to know I just want to know real quickly your favorite games from there. But I found 8 games that I was like, yes, sir, I'm going, I'm in, I'm playing this. I don't care what box I'm playing it on, but I'm playing 8 games from that showcase.
Yeah.
So, like it's tough to keep a cadence of give me that top tier every time, and Xbox is more equipped for that right now. With the number of studios and what they're trying to do, and still not realistic.
Well, and they've been, how many times have we talked about Xbox since 2018 when they made the 5 acquisition announcement, right? How many times have we said, where are the games from these studios? Well, guess what? That was 5 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So it's fair if PlayStation is shifting development to live service games and all of, as you laid out, Luke, a lot of their big sequels have come out more recently from their major studios. It's going to be time. I mean, these things take a lot of time. It's going to be time before we see some of this stuff. I don't think they have anything else at Summer Game Fest. I don't. I think PlayStation, that was their big show. They thought they had a good show. Again, it generally was a good show. It just wasn't what people were expecting. And I think that the only thing that kind of confused me is, and we say this about shows a lot, is kind of self-awareness of, if you know you don't have a lot of first-party stuff and that's your show, why do you go in May? Right before summer season, and why do you call it a showcase to begin with? We sit on Bitcast, like, why do you not just come out in like September when you have the Spider-Man release date ready? They didn't even give the date for Spider-Man. When you have the release date ready and say, hey, here's our next state of play, and have it's a big state of play, we're doing an hour-long state of play, do the same show, have the Spider-Man release date. I think your expectations would have been more managed if you did that instead of what happened.
And that's, that's the only reason why I could think like Sony hold back is because a lot of this felt like an obligation to things that are coming out in the autumn / holiday that are also going to be at the Game Awards, or sorry, Summer Games Fest, which again, then I think you need to set expectations accordingly by saying, hey, this is a state of play where we have some cool stuff. But like, you're not going to see another showcase where Jim Ryan goes, hey guys, remember that first showcase? Yeah, me neither. That was just part 1. Here's part 2. This is everything you've ever wanted. It's like, that's not it. We're not getting that, guys.
But we saw the Gran Turismo movie trailer. I mean, that was there. I told this joke not joke, but this is real. But on Bigcast, I said, like, I was sitting here watching the showcase, typing up notes about it, right, for the summary. And when that came on, like, I looked around the room for like someone else, even though there's no one here, of like, the hell are they doing? Like, what is this?
I thought it looks like a parody. It looks like one of those IGN April 1st trailers. Back when we all thought
it's very strange.
Logan pointed out something for XEP this past episode. We didn't see a lot of like content exclusive to PlayStation. You know how PlayStation gets content first, or special strikes in Destiny or so. We didn't see any of that. I didn't see stuff specific to PlayStation in the third party things, which I don't think so. I'm glad about. I hate that stuff. Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. I don't like that. Like, I don't think it's healthy for gaming. But that was an interesting note. But I want to know what games you guys liked from that.
Obviously, Spider-Man, Marathon. If they're able to, what's that?
I wasn't high on Marathon. Beautiful art.
Beautiful art. I just love the aesthetic. It's just something. It's just something vastly different. And hearing hearing Logan talk about it, hearing Travis talk about it on this week's Bitcast and Xbox Expansion Pass. Yes, Luke, I listened.
Thanks, man. I didn't know
that. That sold me. It's like this is the Destiny A team working on this. I'm like, okay, I am in.
Yeah, Travis went off of. I mean, we had way too long of a debate about Marathon on our show this week. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but Travis was pretty clear that people should be excited for this.
To the two old guys that are on your podcast this week, I'm sorry to be ageist. I'm sorry, not.
I feel
guys, how long since the last marathon? Of course it's gonna be different. Bungie doesn't care about your opinion.
If you missed it, Luke, Travis goes, why am I having to fight two Hogues? It's like Hogue the gray and Hogue the white.
That man was a professional comedian, and sometimes it really shows.
Oh yeah, his delivery is amazing at times. It's funny.
Can I just say I really love the Unhinged Travis arc. I just want to know where it goes.
Too, Travis is great.
He's so
pretty funny.
But as someone who, I've said this on the trophy room, and I say it again here, as someone who always wanted to play Marathon, but my brother was building the Hackintosh to play it with his friends and would not let me touch it whatsoever. I'm like, yeah, this gets me excited. I get to finally experience the thing. So those two games are the standouts. I also want to say shout out to Alan Wake 2, which just looks
awesome,
insane, dude.
I'm actually I don't know about you guys, they announced that not that long ago, right? Yeah. I'm pretty surprised at how soon this is releasing. It feels like for however they did it, and maybe the game's smaller, I don't know, but it feels like they turned around a AAA development game pretty damn quickly.
Yeah. I think that's what happens when you sign a deal with Epic. You have, their engineers on hand, and coupled with the fact that probably this is a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. I think
Unreal Engine 5, right?
Let me double check, but I believe
so. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Tal said Travis once a week is enough.
Nice. But you're right. You make a good point, but I think that's the cadence that we should have. And I feel like we were seeing similar timelines when Suicide Squad was announced, and people were pointing out how many games had come out from Naughty Dog in the time that Rocksteady has taken in between their projects. And it comes up when we have a team that's taking a long time. And 2 to 3 years.
It is not Unreal Engine 5, by the way.
It's not Unreal. Okay, thank you. It's Remedy, so they do their own proprietary stuff, don't they?
Yeah, so it looks like it's just
I don't know.
It is just Epic publishing it. So
okay. All right. Well, it's interesting.
Maybe I'm just dumb.
No, you're not dumb. You just made Diablo 6 in the thumbnail, and that's not your fault.
It's gonna be fixed by the time the audio goes out.
Thank goodness the video.
I'm so tired,
the thumbnail's done, bro.
I'm shocked I didn't notice. I noticed that stuff right away. I think I just threw it in there and went with it.
Anyway. I was surprised at the lack of reaction for Dragon's Dogma 2. Logan and I were looking at some of the view counts, and it was much lower than I expected, because I knew I was in for everything Metal Gear. I'm there for Alan Wake. I'm there for. I loved Dragon's Dogma, and I was surprised DD2 was down.
So this actually brings up something I want to talk about, not necessarily tonight, but just that runs through my mind is we tend to think, we meaning this hardcore gaming community we always talk about, right, in the social space, we tend to think that the things that we love resonate larger than they actually do. And I say that as someone who clamors for Banjo-Kazooie every year, right? I know that if there was a Banjo-Kazooie announced at Xbox, it's not going to resonate with the global wide audience like I would think it would, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that lots of people love Dragon's Dogma back on the 360 and have this affinity for it, right? But I think if you just think of the global gaming audience and say, hey, Dragon's Dogma 2's coming, they're going to be like, what was Dragon's Dogma 1? I don't even know what you're talking about. Metal Gear, obviously, not like that, right? Assassin's Creed, not like that. There's certain IPs that can go away and come back and continue to resonate. Dragon's Dogma is not one of those. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to surprise me that you're going to have a niche group of people that'll love this game to death. But personally, I don't see that game being, unless it blows people away as kind of a new entry, if you will, but in like a 90 meta or something. But I don't see that game being some gigantic 10 million seller personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, same as of right now. I think
I hope it is, by the way, if it surprises me. But
I think there's going to be a big marketing push towards it and I think everything kind of probably hedges on that thing reviewing really well for that thing to have some really strong legs, because I think Capcom knows, and I think it sees its hardcore fans of like, there's something in this IP, so let's give it one more go. And I mean, from what I've seen, it does look really good.
Looks good.
The only problem it may run into is it does look, from a casual observer, a little bit like Skyrim, right? A little bit like an Elder Scroll. You see,
it lacks its own style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe some people are like, oh, this gives me, we have Elder Scrolls at home vibes. But to me, I look at it and I'm like, this looks great. Also, Captain, look, please stop making fun of me about this thumbnail. I had a rough day, please.
Is he going in on you?
Yeah. On Twitter, jerk. I'm just trying to promote the show. That's all I'm doing.
I agree with the lacking its distinctive style, but sometimes when you deviate too far in an effort for style, you go to, it doesn't quite pan out. But I will say, given that it's Capcom and given the extreme high that they're on, I'm in. And I think that should take us to one of our two topics in Diablo.
Yeah, go for it.
Street Fighter.
Go to Street Fighter.
Let's do it.
All right. So Street Fighter 6. I'll answer questions. Logan and I have been playing it for a bit. I am, to give context, I think it's important because the fighting game community is very specific. I would argue I'm a casual fighting game player. I put a lot of time into Street Fighter 4. I had a fight stick there. I took off last generation because it didn't come to Xbox and it just didn't pique my interest. I played a lot of Injustice. But I really have a love for Street Fighter 2, 3, and 4. And when I booted up Street Fighter 6, there's a lot that it hits you with, guys. It hits you with a lot of menus and a lot of options and a lot of things.
Oh God, you needed help right away, didn't you?
Immediately. I said, too much reading. I just want to punch an old lady. And there's a mode where you can walk up and just body slam and uppercut old women and Karens at your leisure in the open world. That's point one for it. I was like, all right, I'm in, because you can just walk up and just tiger uppercut, and like her jaw is just.
Oh, okay, I'm in. Sold.
Yeah, it was pretty great. But I love this game, guys. I've put 15 to 20 hours in at this point, and I absolutely love it. I've not played a lot of online. Okay, and I want to be clear about that for any listener that's in for that. The little bit I did play worked well, but I even during the beta I was playing the review version, and I love this game, guys, and I'd love to answer some questions.
Yeah, so I asked any questions about Street Fighter 6 or Diablo 4. We're happy to answer them. While we wait for a few to come in, let's get the super chat that's been sitting for a little bit real quick, because Seeds threw it up there just a little bit ago. So Seeds, my good friend, does his own channel and reviews. Sorry, I was stumbling over words there. Been a big supporter of Season Gaming. He does actually really good work on his channel too, and he's growing as a channel. So if you like video reviews of kind of stuff we do here, check him out. $49.99 super chat, ridiculously generous. Seeds. He said, gotta bounce and get work done. Just wanted to stop in and show some support. Have a great night, guys. Thank you very much. He's super nice, super supportive, and obviously way too generous too. So thank you very much for that. The first question we got on Street Fighter 6, and I don't know if you can answer it, Luke, but Stingray, another friend, supporter of Season Gaming, said that he asked how long the campaign is. Have you beat the campaign?
I don't know exactly what he means by the campaign. If you're talking about
the world tour mode,
worlds, so in the open world, I have not beaten that. In fact, I kind of bounced off of that in favor of playing the more traditional Street Fighter elements. I would describe, so the open world, let's talk about that open world a little bit. What you do is you drop your creative fighter in, and you have a lot of options to create a fire, but not a lot of clothing cosmetics to open up in the beginning. You drop them in with very limited moves and abilities. And the first person you learn from, I believe, is Luke. The character Luke, not me.
He doesn't teach you very much, does he?
Yeah, I
Hey.
was about to say. I was about to say.
So you drop in and you learn some basic moves. You think of this like the starting moves are very akin to Ken and Ryu, if you're unfamiliar with Luke. But you go and you do little tasks around the city. You go, you'll move enforcers off of a block. You'll go and meet this person, talk to that person, and that's kind of what happens. You move around this world, and I called it, I believe in DMs, like a poor man's Shenmue or poor man's Yakuza.
Okay.
And or like we have Shenmue at home kind of thing. It
Yeah,
feels like that. I was not a big fan of this open world. However, I've watched several reviews where they liked it. They found it interesting. I was less enthralled with it because it wasn't very much of what I wanted from Street Fighter. But it is cool to go learn from different leaders in the Street Fighter world, which are your main characters. Like after Luke, you go to Chun-Li, and then you travel around the world, and you build your moveset and your create a fighter. I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of fun in that part of the game, right? That's not going to be your traditional fighting game community people that are in for tournaments and in for certain combos and pixel counting and such. But these are people that are going to want to explore in the same way that you play FIFA or 2K and you're playing through the career mode. Right. That's one aspect that I think a lot of people are going to go in on. And it's cool, but I wasn't overly thrilled with it. That's not what I go to Street Fighter for. I go for the more just the fighting and the combos and finding fun in that. And in the versus mode of campaigns, you have a number of options. You pick from a good slate of characters. You've got some of your traditional people, E Honda, Ken, Ryu, Zangief, Dalzim, and such. And then several newcomers from 5 and new. And so you can set up different numbers. Like the first one, you'll play five round or 5 different characters, or you can do 12. You can turn on the story. You can turn off the story, number of rounds fought, difficulty settings. And that leads to its own version of a and roll the end credits thing. You play through all of Ken's arcade mode, you're going to roll credits and get some artwork for unlocking stuff depending on how you finish matches with combos and such. That was really fun. So there's a lot of ways to approach it, and that doesn't even touch on the online mode, which includes something called a battle hub, where you're walking around a virtual arcade, and you go to sit down at that cabinet, and another player can come over, sit down at that cabinet and fight against
so they've recreated walking up and playing someone?
Yes,
absolutely. That's awesome.
That's really cool.
It is really cool. That's not.
Can I put my quarter down and can I kick them in the knee if they're winning?
They maybe, but that's the mode that I didn't get much experience in due to servers and such. Fair so enough. That's the one I don't want to talk too much on. But there's some classic Street Fighter games in there and classic Capcom games at the cabinets, and like they tried to recreate the arcade experience, which was cool as well. The game is big. Guys, the game is big. There are 3 menus to start you off with, and you pick the area. It's kind of like COD now. Do you want to go into DMZ? Do you want to go into Versus? Do you want to go into Campaign?
Sure.
Almost a similar approach now with Street Fighter, which will be to its detriment for some and a benefit for others, depending.
Okay.
Giselle asks, and I am keeping track of the questions, guys. I have them here, so please keep asking for either Diablo or Street Fighter. We'll obviously get to Diablo here in a little bit. Giselle asks, did you play any of the characters that weren't in the beta, and if so, how were they? So like what characters have you been playing as personally and how they feel?
Okay, so I've played through Ken, Ryu, Luke, Jury, and Ken, Ryu, Luke, Jury. I think I played a bit of Kimberly, and so I don't remember which ones were in the betas because there were several betas. But those are the characters I've played through. The fighting is sublime, and I would argue that as a diehard Street Fighter 4 fan, Street Fighter 3 and 2, this is the best Street Fighter has ever felt to me. I'm absolutely loving it. It's smooth. It's very clean. I played it on both Series X and Series S, and it was fantastic on both. I had a problem with screen tearing on Series S, which I found was due to an input delay toggle that you can turn off. It just the way the TV and the system communicates. Once I turned it off, it was fine. No problems whatsoever. the gameplay and the fighting was so smooth for each of these characters that I repurchased a new fight stick, a Hori Alpha.
Oh wow, that's how
That's-
in you are.
That's how in, yeah. And I
Wow.
love fighting
That's
games and
awesome.
Street Fighter specifically, but the gameplay was so good that I was like, yes, if I never touch the career mode of building my fighter again, I've got a complete game in the arcade experience as well. So that to me says a lot about the fighting there.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, that you're actually, and here's the thing, guys. I'm not good at fighting games. I suck at fighting games. I'm like looking at it from afar, going, "Wow, good on you guys, you're getting a win." Now, everything you've just said actually has me kind of interested of trying the game out for myself. But Luke, I'm a big dumb idiot, as you guys know. I mess up the thumbnail. So stupid.
It's okay, man. It's all right, dude. It's not a big deal.
But I want to know: is there a simpleton mode?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
great question.
Actually, both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter kind of have that nowadays, where you can it
Okay.
teaches you how to play.
So you have 3 control modes that you can go from. Classic, which is to me very comfortable. That's light, medium, and heavy kick, light, medium, heavy punch, and you do your combos accordingly.
Okay.
There's modern, which is something that Logan was sharing with me. He found very comfortable as somebody that doesn't want to remember the combos of each character. 1-2 button presses, and you can throw sonic booms, no problem. You can throw your Hadoukens and do your shurikens real easily, right? And that is really helpful because it doesn't affect me how I want to play versus how you want to play, right? Some things will be easier, but if you're a newbie, you want to go with the modern control scheme because it's much more approachable to a forgive the double speak, but for a classic Street Fighter fan, I was frustrated. I was like, I didn't want to do that there. Why? I was hitting Y. So I switched to classic. I was happy as can be.
Nice.
The modern control scheme is absolutely the way to go. There is another control scheme, which off the top of my head, I'm not remembering.
So sorry if I missed you just say that. So you're talking about control scheme and you said modern's the way to go. So when I think Street Fighter, I think 6 button, 3 punch, 3 kick. Is modern different from that?
Yes, it's different from that. So that's classic.
That
is
okay.
Classic. Modern.
I'm old to remember.
Yeah, modern I didn't dabble with as much. And think light, medium, heavy, special. That's how it tends to work. Light, medium, heavy, special.
Medium, heavy, special. No, I'm going 6 button. Stop with your nonsense.
I think
kids.
I didn't touch modern very much because I bounced off of it so quickly. It bothered me. It is very easy. Like there's a good fighting game called Power Rangers Battle for the Grid that is very similar to the modern control scheme. It's like light, medium, heavy, special.
That's cool. They offer that though.
Because it won't bother me how somebody plays. It's still gonna let me
I was gonna
go.
say that it's gonna be obviously gate kept, right?
I don't. I'm sure the fighting game.
I'm going on Twitter right now to tell them to remove it, or I'm not buying. We're boycotting Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take care of this, guys.
Oh, thank God! Just like how you took care of all those. Well, how can I say that? All that.
Where's this going? Where's this going?
And you were real upset with Target for a little bit.
Yeah. Get those rainbows out of my face.
Yeah.
It's making him question things he's uncomfortable to question.
I saw Cerebral Paul.
These people are so pathetic.
They are. I saw Cerebral Paul in the chat ask about accessibility. It's far more accessible than I've ever seen it. One of the nice things is that a quick button to go to the command list to see the moves for the different characters. You can go between standard moves, super arts, some of the which would to a Mortal Kombat fan you call those fatalities, but like you can go in and see them. But not only when you highlight them do you see the button combos, but it'll show you a mini clip of what that looks like. So if you don't know what Shoryuken means, or you don't know what some of these names mean, you see what it means in context, which is very helpful.
Mortal Kombat does that too. It's awesome.
It is wonderful. Mortal Kombat Ultimate was $8 the other day to get all the extra content, which I had
11 Ultimate. That game's amazing.
Amazing
game.
Amazing. And so I really was quite pleased with the options, and it does a very good job in the create a character career mode open world of teaching you how to play Street Fighter, which is really nice. There's really cool arts that can be used from different like drive systems. I love the counterpunch system. And I'm learning to use some of the other drive elements. That's for even more hardcore fighting game communities. They are going to have a field day with the different systems that take place here. And the RE engine
Right,
is
this
on
is the RE engine.
It is in the RE engine. It is on full display in the arcade mode and looks incredible. Whether or not you like the art style of like the overly buffed jacked Ryu and whatnot, that's not the same thing as the RE engine in play. That's an art decision. But I was really impressed with the engine in that mode. It does not lend itself well to the way that the open world was created. You walk up to textures. Logan and I were chatting about this, and you see like it pixelates pretty hard when you go to certain elements of it. I will say I saw a 21 gig patch downloading on my Series X earlier, and earlier today I was on my Series S, and I played through like a 12 opponent arcade mode of Ken just for kicks, kicks, and I had a blast.
Nice.
Okay,
which was
so it sounds like a day one patch coming.
Yeah.
We'll see what that does. I think yeah, I'm picking it up on Friday. I'm pumped. I know, Steelbook collector, so I had to get that edition with the Steelbook from Best Buy. But it's honestly a shame that it's coming out the same day as Diablo, because Street Fighter 6 I'm ridiculously pumped for. Diehard SF2 player in the arcades, back in the day. And I know I'm not going to touch it at all, pretty much, and for the foreseeable future. But it just looks fantastic, and I was super happy to see how high the reviews were today.
I'm kind of I'm scared to rush Zelda because I'm loving it so much that I know Diablo technically is on Friday. I'm like, should I just go with the standard edition though, so I have a little bit more time with Zelda before I feel the urge to go into literal hell?
You should go with the standard edition. Don't spend the
extra
money.
Yes, but FOMO's going to attack you on Friday.
That's the true thing, because I'm what some of you don't know, I'm a big Diablo fan. I loved 3. 3 was fantastic. I bought 3 on literally every single platform. Like, Diablo 3 is my jam. I want to know though.
You have no idea what you're prepared for. Oh my god!
Going into Diablo 4 reigns. Tell me about it, man. Tell me.
Are we switching over? I didn't see any other specific questions for you, Luke, in terms of SF6.
I don't see a ton. Let me do closing thoughts on that, Joe, because that was a good transition, and I know a lot of people want to hear about Diablo 4. Street Fighter 6, guys, is absolutely Street Fighter at its best. I think, at least for me, at the level that I play at, I'm really anxious to see the fighting game community is gonna have a field day. But there's a really cool thing that you can turn on and off, but it's esports announcers will comment on the fight as you're going. Player 1 with a counter punch.
Yeah, I remember when they announced that.
I thought that would be gimmicky. I live for it.
That's awesome.
I love hearing it.
So it's implemented well.
I think so. Yes, I'm really enjoying it. Like, how did he bounce back from that round? He pulled that one out of nowhere. Like that stuff is fun because it reminds me of being in the arcade. And I was never good, so I got my butt kicked. But like the excitement, it was fun there. And pulling off a super art to win a round when it's all flashy and whatnot is really cool. And then to have the announcers going nuts while you do that, that's a fun feeling. So I will say, if you're a casual fighting fan, this has got a lot for you. There's a lot to do here. Like, so if Diablo or Zelda are not your thing, you could probably have a good old time with Street Fighter, and I think that's the way to go. If you're on the fence, wait a little bit. I'm sure it's going to go on sale at some point, but this is a game that's got life in it for years, and it's going to be fun to watch Mortal Kombat 1 come out and to see how they push each other. My one worry about Street Fighter is the way they're going to do DLC characters with the fighter pass and stuff. And that's every fighting game does that, but it looks a little slow. It looks a little too slow for my personal preference. I think you get 15 or so characters out the gate, and like not having Akuma kind of bums me out. Not having some of them,
because they know people will pay for him,
and they're right. And I will. But for me, a fighting game lives on newness, like what you bring to the table. And if something Mortal Kombat does well is guest characters, Street Fighter doesn't necessarily do that And so I'm curious what cadence they're going to bring to keep themselves fresh and relevant when Mortal Kombat 1 drops, when Tekken drops, etc. So that's good, right? That's a good thing. We want that. So that's
it's kind of funny
because
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of funny because MK is those two are my jam. MK is my top though. Like I will play more MK1 than I will SF6. But funny enough, I'm one of those few with MK that doesn't like guest characters. I think that MK has so many characters as it is through their lore and stuff. I don't like going into MK and fighting Rambo or something. You know what I mean? Like
really?
that to me. Yeah, I don't like it. That's just me. But anyway, Todd, I think you kind of already talked through this, but Todd Oxtra says, does SF6 have a campaign similar to MK? And basically, I think what you're saying is no, it's not. It doesn't have a cinematic campaign with like cutscenes and a story, right?
The cutscenes are stills, like comic stills.
Yes,
right. And that's
like Redfall.
Yeah, I almost said it too. I really almost said almost like Redfall, but I didn't want to be disingenuous because it's not a fair comparison. But Street Fighter's always done that, right? Street Fighter's always kind of done that, and to me, the story was a little. I mean, it's always nonsensical, but like I didn't even care, and maybe I'm different because I used to get really into it, and maybe I will get really into it when everybody else does, and I can watch more videos on it and stuff. But I very much think that the campaign experience here is not, if you're there for the Mortal Kombat fighting game experience or the Injustice, that is not here in this one. Instead, they provided you this open world where you build your character similar to a 2K, a FIFA, a Madden, and that's their take on growing. So that's what I would say on Street Fighter 6. And feel free to drop more questions and we'll tackle them at the end of the show. But I know people are really itching to hear about Diablo 4, Ains.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that you liked Diablo 3 that much, Joe. So where to begin on Diablo? I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. So long review, lot of time put in, a lot of words. I told we were joking that my review was going to be over 4,000 words, and I was at like 2,500, and I'm like, I think I can wrap this up pretty soon. And then I looked down again; it was at 3,400. I'm like, shit. So I kept it right around 3,500. I could have said a lot more. Our video review's 20 minutes long. Funny enough, if anyone watches Skill Up, I know we've talked about Skill Up here. He had a rant today because I guess he didn't realize, and I don't know how he didn't, because it was ultra clear that you could not have more than 20 minutes of footage, period. No matter what you were doing, you could not have more than 20 minutes of footage released today, which is why my build video is coming later on Thursday. But anyway, it is a very interesting game because Diablo only releases like once every 10 years. There are massive expectations for that game when it releases. And coming off of 3, even though 3 released 11 years ago now, which is crazy to say, originally, 3 was a disaster at launch. So if you weren't familiar with what happened with Diablo 3...
I was there.
Diablo 2 is considered probably the greatest ARPG of all time, loot-based ARPG of all time. It's legendary game. Diablo 3 launched and it was a disaster. The online, you couldn't play it, first of all, for like 3 days. The servers were broken to hell. The auction house sucked. The loot sucked. Class design sucked. I mean, I could keep going if you want. It was like, how did they fumble this so badly? Now, since then, it's become a fantastic game in its own right, and I have countless hours in that game, probably 1,500 plus. Across platforms. I'm like Joe. My family has bought probably 11 or 12 copies of that game at this point. So 4, to get back to 4, I was kind of coming in thinking, okay, we played the beta. We know the beta was fantastic, but as a complete experience, right? Like, what does the post-campaign endgame look like? What does building a character look like once you get into the 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond? What does late game loot look like and all this stuff? And there's a lot of open questions that are very important to hardcore Diablo players, and you could not tell any of that from the beta. All you could tell from the beta was the world looks cool, it's really polished, and combat felt great, but all the kind of long-term answers that are going to keep people playing for thousands of hours, you couldn't answer from the beta. So I'm happy to report that, as you can see from the reviews, that me and many others found that it is spectacular, really. Nice. I'm actually pretty shocked at what they deliver. I say in my review that I say confidently this is the best launch package of any loot-based ARPG I've ever played.
Wow.
I'm amazed at how much there is in this game. The world is huge. I actually listed out. I went through the game and listed out. So I guess I should pull up my review while we're talking about it. But it is it's told over 6 acts and an epilogue. The story is better than 3. Lilith is amazing. Has some really cool cutscenes. She's amazing. There's a cut. I say in my review. There's a cutscene late in the game. Obviously, I won't say anything here, but it's a good it had to be at least 4 or 5 minute cinematic, and it's one of those you're just gonna watch over and over again. It's that good.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question?
Sure.
Do people care about the Diablo story?
Yes.
Some do. Yes.
Okay.
So there's other people I'm kind of mixed on it. I find it fascinating and the characters and the lore fascinating, but I'm not one where I really get into it like some people do. Then there's others who are who cares about the story? Just give me the end game and the loot chase, right? But then there's others. I mean, there's entire sites and wikis set up about the characters, and people really get into it. So, so the story I think is better than 3. Has more meaningful characters to me. Lilith is a much better antagonist than we saw in Diablo 3, with just Diablo that was kind of revised type thing. That said, I don't think it does anything revolutionary with the campaign. It's not going to kind of really wow you. There's parts of it that seem slow. So I think it's fine. Now, what they do in this game, which is fantastic, is once you beat the campaign, say you create a new character, it gives you an option right on the main screen to skip the campaign with that character. And what happens is when you create a new character and then start, you're level 1, but you have any of the additional skill points you've unlocked from the favor, which is a different system in the game that you do based on region. You have your extra potions. You have your mount. So you have the horse, and you have a few other things. So you kind of begin on this level where you can start fresh as a level 1, but you don't have any of the main story quests. But all of the end game activities are already active. So you can immediately just start building a new character and getting into end game stuff.
Oh, holy shit! Immediately.
Immediately. It's
That's
really
a
cool.
Daunting, don't you think? Or you found it
a little what? I didn't hear you.
Daunting. Maybe even overwhelming.
I guess it. No. I mean, I think what you'll find in this game is one of the things I write about is it gives players a tremendous amount of agency in how you complete things. It is a very much a game of do what you want when you want to. And the story is there when you want to do it. If you just want to spend 500 hours wandering the world and killing things and looting up and leveling without doing the campaign, you can do that too. The nice thing about this, like in Diablo, well, all prior Diablos, the acts kind of walked you through the world, but you couldn't really go beyond that, right? Like you had to do certain things to get to different areas. Diablo 4 is a full open world and it's not gated. You can travel anywhere you want right from the outset. Now you're going to run into enemies who will destroy you, right? Yeah. But you can, if you want to, just run around and do whatever.
Just like kind of like Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, the world dictates the difficulty?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really different in that way, and it's just it's really cool being able to kind of just figure things out as you go. And I also say, even though like the story itself, the campaign story is it's fine. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's actually pretty good. But for me, to Luke's point, story's not really why I play Diablo. So it kind of took a back seat. But I think that the environmental storytelling, there's a lot. So if you're one of those players like I tend to do, is getting engrossed in a game world, right? And you want to know, like, why is this city here? And what happened in this city? And are there little side stories that you can talk to, and characters, NPCs you can talk to? All of that's in there. And there's a lot of it. So you're welcome to kind of dive in if you want to. I put in my review, so right at launch, the game has 35 waypoints. So waypoints are where you activate in a city or a town, right, that you find through the world. 35 waypoints. There's 15 strongholds, and some of the strongholds are different type of missions. Some of them will surprise you. They're not just like beat all these enemies and unlock the stronghold. Like they have little stories attached to them and stuff, which is awesome. There's 115 dungeons. So there's a lot of dungeons. There's 160 altars of Lilith to find around the world, which unlocks stuff for your account wide, all your characters. And there's 213 side quests at the launch of this game. So some of the side quests are really silly. They're really short, but some of them aren't. They're multi-tiered kind of story things that, take quite a while. It is a massive game. Absolutely massive. I put, like I said earlier, about 75 hours in probably for the review period. I'm scratching the surface of what's in that game. It's huge. So let me talk about a couple questions here.
Sure,
guys.
please.
So Silkenet says in Diablo 4's endgame, and guys, if you can as I'm talking in the StreamYard chat, you can star comments.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I think you guys have that ability, right? Can you do that?
Oh, wow. I think so. Let me see.
In the upper right corner of comments, you can star them.
Oh, look at that. I never
Okay,
knew
yes. Do that if you see questions, so they'll pop over in the other window here. Diablo 4 Endgame, do you have to run from event to event, or can you launch activities from anywhere and a nice hub with everything? So Diablo 3 has a hub, right? And you go to your rifts or you do whatever you want from there. Diablo 4, because it's an open world, it kind of places everything in the open world, which is actually nicer because you don't have to go to either a rift or a specific area to play endgame. It's literally the whole world. So you have areas that it'll say like a Helltide event is passing and a whole stretch of the map will turn into red. It'll turn red. And if you go to that area, it is just infested with tons of enemies, including like mini bosses and champions. So you're just fighting. You can see a clip on my Twitter right now. That's a Helltide event. You're just fighting tons of enemies and getting tons of loot. And you unlock these little currencies that you can unlock chests with and get more and more loot and legendaries as well. That's one. There's a Tree of Whispers thing where you can go and do like mini quests basically, and you get points. And every time you build up 10 points for the Tree of Whispers, you can go back to the tree and it gives you a cache of specific things that you want. So you can get like glyphs for your Paragon board, which is the late level stuff. You can get additional legendaries and other stuff. There's Nightmare Dungeons, which kind of they switch up dungeons into like special versions of them with all kinds of different attributes and enemies that you go to, which are kind of most similar to rifts from Diablo 3. And then on top of that, what's really, I know I've been talking for a while, the thing
I'm engrossed.
This is good, but that's why people are here.
Yeah, the most fascinating thing to me about Diablo 4's design, which I think was just whoever thought of this at Blizzard, just credit to them. So as you're going through the campaign and you get to near the end of the campaign, if you're playing like any, I would say normal person, where you're doing some side content, but then doing main story, some side content, main story, right? You're going to be somewhere in the 40 to 50 range level wise. So you beat the campaign. And then as soon as you beat the campaign in the first town from the beta, a new dungeon shows up, which is the Capstone Dungeon. And what that is it's a level 50 plus dungeon. And it is, I won't ruin anything for you, but it is a lot of enemies with a couple bosses and an end boss where once you complete that, you unlock World Tier 3. World Tier 3 is called Nightmare. You have to complete that dungeon before you can play World Tier 3, right? So it kind of prepares you.
Okay.
Once you beat that dungeon, you can go turn on World Tier 3, which is Nightmare. And at that point, it feels like the game is new again. It adds uniques, so new loot that you can find. It adds a thing called sacred, which means all of the loot in the game can now drop as sacred variations, which have different stat rolls on them. So for instance, you can find like a sacred rare, a yellow, which would be more powerful than a legendary.
Oh, wow.
So
when it comes to loot in this game, just to stop you there, because you talk about sacred, is it because Diablo 3 had this thing of just like, it's all RNG, baby. Like, are we going to constantly be, I don't know how to say it correctly, because again, brain's tired, but like, is it just RNG based in terms of like, oh, we're rolling to get this 1+ on this, different like set of like chess pieces. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to get at here?
No, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're saying.
Are you grinding for a certain stat?
Yeah. Are we grinding for a certain stat? that's different. I remember Diablo 3 had this problem where you're grinding out, like, for example, like a piece of armor that just had maybe 1 plus more intellect than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually you'll probably get to that point, right?
Okay.
That's how you're kind of finishing optimization. But you certainly, even once I got the nightmare and
Stupid
torment is
question,
afterwards.
stupid, dumb question.
No, I think that there's so much variation in how you build characters in this game versus just the loot that
Okay.
it's not as important. And they've said that, right? Blizzard said from the start that Diablo 3 is incredibly loot based because the skill building in Diablo 3 is very simplified. They tried to simplify it for a larger audience. And so they fixed that long term by really going loot heavy. So in this game, you're still looting all the time, but what makes your character powerful? Yes, the loot plays a big role, of course, but not as big as Diablo 3. There's other things that come into play that'll affect your character power more or
So like
more
how
than
you're
Diablo 3.
building, like how you're like what stat you're pouring into type of deal.
It's there's so much depth to it. It's kind of hard to talk through.
Let me
So
ask you that. Oh, sorry.
so kind of. So stats is a whole nother thing in this game that are different from Diablo 3.
Damn, this game is beefy.
But affixes are really where things get important once you start building out into legendary. So you can improve your gear in this one. So you can go to the blacksmith and just enhance your gear, which gives you stat boost, right? Flat stat boost.
Okay.
But affixes, whatever you want to call them, is kind of where your real strength will come in. That's where optimizing the legendary affixes or the codex of power that you get from dungeons, optimizing those against your skills that you've selected is where you really start to build powerful characters.
Wow. Luke, you had a question?
I do have a video coming on Thursday, 25 minutes long, about building a monster druid. It's not just for druid players. Highly recommend you watch it. It will help with this.
Do you think, because you said a whole lot of systems, there's a whole lot of stats, there's a whole lot of stuff.
Yep.
Is this going to scare new players away?
That's what I was asking. I'm
does
intimidated.
Blizzard
Yeah,
not give
I
a
mean
shit?
the lores of the world. It will. I think so, but I think to some degree they make it as easy as they can by having an item power, right?
Mhm.
So you remember in Diablo 3 they had green arrows, like red or green. It's like if
Yes.
you're dum-dum, up or
Yeah.
down, which were terrible. Which were terrible, by the way. They didn't give you an accurate reflection. Item power is better in Diablo 4, kind of telling you when something's better, but you really do need to dive into what I'm talking about with the affixes and skills if you're going to really kind of play the late game content. Now, you don't have to, right? You can get to level 100 and keep playing World Tier 1 or World Tier 2. But if you really want to enjoy kind of the stuff I'm talking about with the end game content, the extra uniques, the ancestral uniques and sacred uniques and all that crazy loot that comes later, you have to get to World Tier 3 and 4.
Okay. Interesting.
There's a bunch of questions. Like I said, this one's really hard to talk about quickly. And I suck at talking about things quickly anyway, as we know. So let's see what we got here.
Side quest? Oh, sorry. Did you want me to read them to you, or do you got them?
I got them.
Okay.
Because I can't star anything. I don't know.
Yeah, it won't let me star stuff.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so Parker Sims says, you mentioned runes in Diablo 4. Do you see them bringing in rune words? So rune words were kind of a thing in Diablo 2 that a lot of people liked. I think what they're doing in this one, Parker, is more around glyphs, which tie to the Paragon board. So the whole Paragon system in this game is very different than Diablo 3, much more complex. So once you hit level 50, you know the little experience bar that you have where you level up, right? And it shows you leveling. Once you hit 50, it switches to blue, and then it switches to Paragon levels. And every level, 50 to 51, 51 to 52, you actually gain 4 Paragon points. So you get between level 50 and level 100, which is the level cap, you get 200 Paragon points. And your Paragon board is this kind of secondary skill tree where you insert glyphs and unlock different abilities and enhance things, and it just keeps going. You can keep adding boards to one another all the way until you use all 200 plus points. I think in total there's 220 points you can unlock in total. So that's really the late game kind of building with your character. I don't know if they're going to do like anything more specific than the affixes on loot itself. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know at this time.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Side quests sync between characters, fish string. I don't think so. I think if you do a side quest on one character, it's for that character. So they treat those separately, and there's probably reason for that. Now, your favor, the thing that you get bonuses for, does unlock across characters.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Joanne Raksha writes, what about storage space? Do you get more carry capacity as you progress?
No.
Oh,
You do not. You can unlock more storage in your stash, right? You can unlock tabs in your stash. I think you can only go up to 4 currently. I think that's what we found in the review.
okay.
Which is quite a few items, right? It's not a ton, but it's quite a few. But in terms of actually carrying on your character, that the boxes you're familiar with from the beta is the same.
Okay. The next question, Cerebral Paul writes, so Paragon is like D3 or deeper?
Oh, far deeper. Far deeper. Yeah, it's kind of what I just explained. So I think Blizzard did a video on Endgame that shows the Paragon boards. I have a picture of one in my review and in the video, but it gets far more extensive. Yes.
Question, what character should I make? I liked the mage. I didn't love the mage. I liked the necromancer, but I find that late game it maybe could rely too much on my little skeleton dudes. So
I honestly think all 5 are viable, and I say that seriously. Like, a lot of people were down on Druid early, and I can tell you, like, my Druid was wrecking shop in Nightmare mode solo. Nothing killed me.
Nice.
And the developers have come out and kind of said that. Like, it's all about your competency in tuning your build. And if you get good at that and learn how to do that properly, all 5 are viable. I've played Rogue to 25 or 20. I played Barbarian to 20. I played my Druid to 55. I know Travis played a bunch of them to 30, and he said the same thing as me, which is all 5 are viable.
Damn.
It's I'm the guy that's gonna play one character. I'm not doing multiple characters, and I worry that no, it's not really mean.
It was.
So I would say of course it's okay. I would say this, Luke. Like, anyone who's worried about that and thinking, man, I'm missing out if I don't play this, or is this character I pick, I don't want to pick the wrong one. There is no wrong one. There is no wrong one. Pick the character, pick the one that you're gonna have the most fun with. If you like, there's certain people like my stepson, he plays sorcerer, right? He loves being far away and just melting things like a glass cannon, right?
That's what I'm kind of leaning towards.
And ask Travis, Joe, because he reviewed as sorcerer, his main.
Okay. I will right after this.
But I think that's perfectly viable. For me, that's not how I like to play. That's why I always build a sorcerer like it's my 4th character or something. I like to stand in the middle of like 50 enemies and just smash them about. So I'm always building like either Barbarian or Druid out of the gate. I prefer Crusader. I don't have that at launch.
That's what I miss the Crusader. That was my favorite. I loved the Crusader class, man.
Me too.
So good.
Me too. So I hope they bring that, of course, in the future. But no, I would say play what you think the gameplay style you're going to enjoy. Don't pick a character thinking, well, this one will be more powerful, because you're not going to, that's going to be in the back of your mind, and it's pointless. Just play what you're going to have fun with.
Yeah. I am leaning between Necromancer and Sorcerer. I will ask Travis, just because my only concern with the Necromancer is they're going to play like the Necro Warlock, which in WoW, which is like, if you don't have your pet or you lose your pet in a boss fight, you're fucking useless. And that's what I'm scared of, because I saw in the Ashva fight, I forget their name. The world boss,
Ashava.
I lost my skeletons and I was just worthless. So I'm like, if there's an ability I could conjure them from thin air, that would be much preferred.
I was worried about that with Druid. As I got later in the game, I'm like, okay, if I build survivability, if I'm playing like a big boss solo, am I going to be able to kill it? That's the problem you usually have is melee, right? Can you do the damage? But I was having no problem.
Okay.
No problem at all.
So all right, so I'm debating then Barbarian or
Guybrush says,
you know what you said? Oh, Joe, the FOMO will get to you. It's already gotten to me, damn it.
Okay. Yeah. Guybrush said, is there an offline mode like Diablo 2 Resurrected? No. One of the drawbacks of this game, probably my only drawback, is that you have to be connected at all times. And at least during the review period, I did have times where latency was an issue. So, I'd be skipping around the screen. or like I'd go to attack something and it wasn't registering. So that did happen here and there. They did warn us it would happen because they were doing all sorts of server tests while we were reviewing, right? They did say there's a whole host of improvements that are being put in for launch. So we'll have to play that by ear, but that's the one thing I kind of would caveat as you get ready for this launch.
Also, Captain Logan asked something really stupid, and I'm going to make him look like an idiot in a minute. Captain Logan says, tell me Joe doesn't know how to golem in D3 without telling me. I don't have to. I never played a necromancer in D3, you dumb freaking moron. I'll tell you, I never played it, you fool.
Hold on, I got a couple more questions I can knock out.
Okay, sorry.
Silkenet says, do you have to do the story to unlock nightmare mode? Yes, like I said, you get the capstone dungeon after beating the campaign. So that kind of does not emphasize, incentivize you to beat the campaign. Yes. Yes, I heard what they're doing with the first 1,000 people that reach level 100 on hardcore mode. I think the people going to attempt that are insane. I think that people are underestimating what getting to level 100 is like in this game. It's going to be a lot of time.
I've seen South Park, and I know, Mom, bathroom.
Yeah. Honestly, even if you let's say, just for example, you didn't sleep, right? Let's just say you were going to go 1 to 100 on hardcore. My guess is you're looking at least 3 straight days, 72 hours minimum. That would be aggressive. And remember, hardcore is if you die once, it's over. So the other problem is this is an online game. Like I was just saying, it takes one server hiccup for you to get hit when you don't realize you're being hit, and all of a sudden you're dead. There's no redos. Your journey's done. Yeah, no. So there were a couple guys playing hardcore in the review period who got to like 50 or so. But I don't know, man. That's risky to me. And then Big Mad Mo says, does the story change for each character, or is it pretty much the same all the way around? It's pretty much the same, but they do a good job of making your character be more part of the story than previous Diablos. So like you're in the cutscenes and your character plays a part in the main story of the game. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. I like that.
There's so much I haven't even talked about, guys, but I would say, I could go on, me, I could go on forever. So check out my review. Genuinely put a lot of time and effort into the review. We have video. Yeah, video and written reviews have the same content basically. So whatever you prefer, it's there for you. Yeah, you can just go to the site. They're both in there. My video reviews in my written review, so you can see both. So
I put it in the chat just for kicks. I've been playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You want to hear about it for a quick sec?
Nope.
I will tell you that our reviewer put 136 hours into it, and he said it is like a watershed moment for game design. He adores it. Yeah,
man. Like I am 55 hours into this game. I have completed 2 shrines because I keep on going, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to find out this little secret instead. Like the way that they built off Breath of the Wild in just every single way is so damn impressive. The builds that you're able to the things that you're able to create is just absolutely wild. And the way that you can solve puzzles throughout the world is just, this team was showing off. This game shows that for all the talk of the SSDs, right? For all the talk of this next gen tech, for all the talk of this game's going to power your dreams, what Nintendo is able to do on a toaster oven at this point is a testament to just, if you have the talent, you can make that game. Because it is, we talk about there's been a lot of great games this year. And yeah, some of them have launched buggy. 55 plus hours in The Legend of Zelda, there's no bug in sight. There's no glitch. There's no, I have to restart the app or the app crashed. And to see how huge the open world is and how they're able to build it, not just on the sky terrace of you jumping from this super far site all the way down to, the ground, and you just see the level, not just load in front of you, but you just starting to just see the whole wide world around you. It's stunning. But the one thing that I feel like people don't talk about is what lies below, which is the underground area, which is pretty much a Khaled from from Elden Ring.
Okay.
It adds such a unique and I would even say kind of risk reward element to Tears of the Kingdom, where you enter this depth that is seemingly probably like half the size of the open world that you're in,
Okay.
and it's all dark, and you are lighting up the world underground as you go, and you're finding out secrets, and you're finding out how to build Link in different ways. And like, for example, the one mechanic that everybody loathed was like, weapon degradation, right? Weapons breaking. They fixed that a lot with attachments to your weapon, which give it more durability, but also give it better strength. So like you could turn your sword into a mace if you need it. You could turn your mace into a sword if you need it. Like they do a lot there. But also if you lose a weapon you really like, you could go back into the depth, find one of the vendors that you unlock along the way, and then you just buy the sword back and it's yours.
Okay.
And then you can and you could do whatever. It really is. This game is like, just do what you want, and we encourage you to break this game. But I can't stress enough how much the depth adds as you're just lighting the path around you, and you're finding like the cool thing is like you could fall into a cavern into the depth like I did, and you just drop right onto a world boss, and then you're like, oh and you're immediately in the fight.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and like you're fighting them, and there's only one little spotlight to kind of light your path, and so like you kind of have to light the depths with your arrows, with like the glow seeds that you find. It's just, guys, this game's really good. I can't get enough of it.
The funny thing,
Link and
Alex.
Zelda kiss?
What's that?
Do they kiss?
I mean, there is. They allude to penetration, if that's what you have.
Link's finally growing up after 40 years.
That's right.
What was I going to say?
You'd be surprised who does the insertion, Link. Luke. You'd be surprised.
Can I just say that I like to shout out that Alex, our reviewer, he's like, now I realize how kind of short-sighted and shallow Breath of the Wild was in comparison. I was like, I know, it's because Breath of the Wild was freaking overrated, like I've been telling you for 6 years.
And
no, it wasn't. Knock it off. Knock it off.
Real talk, Haynes, and I'm not kidding you. I liked Breath of the Wild a lot. I loved Breath of the Wild. I thought it was a great game, right? And there are some systems that I didn't like in Breath of the Wild, but like, it's kind of like the audacity of this bitch to go, we know you didn't like this system, but we're going to build upon it in such a way that you're actually going to fucking love this system by the time you're done with it. And I do. Like, Tears of the Kingdom fixes every problem I had with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was a great game. It was never my favorite Zelda. Again, 55 hours of Tears of the Kingdom. This is becoming my favorite Zelda. And it has, to me, the most coherent story since like Ocarina of Time for someone who jumps in and out.
I only have like 4 hours in it, like I said. And sorry, did our live broadcast just die? Or was that my stream? Okay. I only have like 4 hours in it, but already the story is more engrossing than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. And they do better ways of showing the backstory. Remember how you had to run into the little beams of light in Breath of the Wild?
Don't make me think of Breath of the Wild.
Okay,
please.
Fair.
Yeah,
instead, what you do is you find these huge glyphs on the ground, and you have to find this little pool on each glyph, and it gives you the backstory of like, where is Zelda? Where is the Master Sword? You know, what's happening with Ganon? Where is Ganon? Like, it's answering all those things. So it, like, to me, I was gonna go, I'm gonna do the temple. This is what I was gonna do. I was gonna do the third temple yesterday, and then I found myself going, I'm gonna unlock more of these glyphs. And then halfway through unlocking half of the glyphs, I go, actually, you know what? I want to level up my Link so he's like beefy as hell. So I'm like riding at the backs of these huge dragons just to get like their scales, to get their claws, to upgrade my armor so that I'm beefier and I could take more hits. Like,
see, I love this because the player agency in Breath of the Wild was not my problem with it, right? The what I felt was lacking was what you were actually doing in the world. Whereas even so far, 4 hours in, I'm more engrossed in what I'm doing. And by all accounts of you and Alex and everyone I've talked to about this game, the way you're describing the things you do in the world is much more akin to like a Nintendo version of Elden Ring, where it just feels more engrossing, and you go back and forth between a cool story and exploration, and then doing stuff to make yourself stronger, and just mixing all those together at your pace. And I love that.
And the side quests are so much more engaging as well. Like the world just feels, I hate the term because it's overused, but it's so true here. It feels much more lived in. Like there's so much more character in Tears of the Kingdom. The one thing too, everybody's been talking about the buildability in this game. They purposely hold back on what's called the Ultra Hand ability, which is saying, hey, if you made this complicated piece of like, I don't know, tech, let's just say like you made a huge, B-52 bomber that you're just going through and just eviscerating your foes from afar, you can save that build. And if you have the material on you, you can select Ultra Hand and it'll just start assembling all the things itself. It has it completely saved for you. So you're not going back going, okay, how did I build that plane? Or how did I build that tank?
When I get back to the game in like a year, I'll have to have you explain to me how that works, because that sounds awesome.
Dude, again, there's 7 mechanics in this game. All of them justify a sequel. And just like when I'm like 30 hours in and I found the Ultra Hand ability, because you stumble on it. It's not like it's the main part of the main quest. You stumble on it. And I'm just like, and this game has opened up yet again. Like I'm like, this game it's just again, Nintendo has the best developers. It's nuts.
By the way, can I say Alex's best? When I was getting ready to publish Alex's written review on Monday or yesterday about Zelda, one of his headers in our sections, he said, I gotta Ultra Hand it to you. I was like, well played, sir. I like it.
God bless. Yeah, I gotta read that review because
he just spouts love for it the whole time. It's one of the few games we've ever given a 10 to. Historic, which is hard to get on our side. You know how much I love Diablo 4. I gave it a 9.5, because to get a 10 on our site, it has to be considered kind of industry or genre defining.
110%. This game's gonna change shit. Like,
and he said, I want to give it a historic, and I said, okay, let's talk through it. We always talk through our scores, and so it's only like the 7th game ever we've given a 10 to, I think.
This game is definitely.
What'd you give Redfall?
Relaxing. So and just a testament to how this game is so great. Luke's not interested in it.
But didn't you tell me you love Breath of the Wild? I thought you were arguing with me about that.
Loved it.
Then why would you not be interested in this?
It's on the Switch. I'm over it,
dude. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you.
I believe you. So, my only counterpoint right now is there's so much else that I'm playing.
Yeah.
That's my only counterpoint, and so. Yeah, it came out right during testing for school, and I was playing Street Fighter, and we had a bunch of stuff that we just did for review in the last few weeks. There have been so many games we've been playing for review. So
there's a lot going on right now from a content creation standpoint. Yeah. So I will say this, not just for us, but any of the content creators you like to watch, whoever it is, or what sites or channels or whatever, there is an awful lot coming out, and these aren't small games. Mm-hmm. They take a lot of time to cover and write about and make videos about and podcast about. So those people that you appreciate, that you engage with, whoever they are, give them some love, because it's a lot of work. It really is.
It really is. That said, I'll end on this. I as 55 hours in, who knows what can happen. The only game that could top this for me this year is going to be Diablo. Diablo, Deckard Cain, Leia. Because it's when I'm playing, I'm constantly just wowed and awed at what they're achieving here. So I'm really excited to play Diablo. That is the only thing that has the power to rip me away from Zelda.
They're so different. I think you'll probably put them on like next to each other on the pedestal. You know what I mean? They're so vastly different. But Diablo is It's going to take over my life come Thursday.
I'm gonna butcher this name. Silkanet.
Soaking it.
Silking it. Haha, nailed it. If you are, who is doing the Final Fantasy 16 review?
Alex is who did Zelda. Alex is. We joked. I was like, "You sure you want to go from 136-hour review of Zelda to Final Fantasy 16?" But he is a champ. He's one of our newer contributors, and he's been awesome. He's a good writer, very intelligent about how he kind of thinks about games and the content in them. He's been fantastic. Great addition to our crew. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
There we go.
That's it.
There you go.
We got
as soon
one
as you
last.
got the Zelda, Luke looked bored. He was like,
I know.
Good.
Oh, I heard it. Always Loops writes, did y'all discuss Xbox teasing Fable? Hey guys, before we go, quick thing. Do we have any expectations for the Xbox show, or are we afraid that we're going to jinx it like that?
So they are
18
teasing Fable.
new first-party bangers, or I leave and walk out of the theater.
All right, fair enough.
Done.
Oh yeah, you're going to be there. That's awesome.
I'm going to be there. Yeah.
Very, very envious, jealous, and excited for you in all the good ways. Like, I'm so happy for you, man. But
Thanks,
they are
dude.
teasing Fable. They did
Good.
that today.
Good. I
Good,
fucking
good,
love
good.
Fable. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited, guys. I fly out next Friday. I'm going to be part of the Xbox showcase and the Starfield presentation, obviously all in the theater. And then actually, there's something else going on that night. I don't even know if I can say, but there's another presentation going on later that night that's not being broadcast. We are allowed to record though, so I would stay tuned to your favorite Xbox guys, because there will be additional content post showcase that won't be shown until we create the content for it. So I hope to do that on Monday, depending on what we hear about. But yeah, I'm excited, and I don't know about you guys, Luke, Logan. Bitcast guys, the other three obviously are going to do live show. Bitcast is going to be at the showcase time that Sunday instead, so a little later. And then I'm going to try, if I can, right after the show, to get on my phone and join from the theater and let you know what it was like in there live.
That's it. I get it. You're gonna totally miss it. There's no way with your phone.
Yeah.
No, not while the conference is going on.
Oh, like you go back to your hotel room type of deal.
No. Yeah, showcase is 2 hours.
Trying
right?
to get reception is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, it's in the middle of
the building has Wi-Fi set up for that.
Okay.
Yeah. At least it did when I was there last time.
I've been in there multiple times. I haven't had issues. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be doing a live stream with the Trophy Room over on the Trophy Room's site.
Good.
So I'll plug that one. Logan and I will be over there with Kyle and.
Oh, you guys are live responding to Xbox on. Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so have 2 tabs open, guys. 2 tabs.
There you go. 2 tabs. One for Bitcast. One for the Trophy Room. Cross Xbox expansion pass, because we decided a little bit of charity this time of year is just appropriate. No, because I want to talk about Xbox. I can't do it if it's just the Trophy Room. So
I mean, you'll have more to talk about than that PlayStation showcase. Am I right?
You bet your sweet ass we will. So might as well have the best Xbox podcast gang with us. But they couldn't make it, so we
Wait, who's joining
Logan.
They couldn't make it, so
it's so funny because I have a fantasy league with Sean, and I've been really mean. He's like, "You are ruining this for me." That's who I am. I put in a gif of Scarface, so I'm the bad guy. I was like, good night to the bad guy. That's me. I'm the bad guy.
Oh man.
But, guys, that's all I got. That's all the juice I got.
Yeah. All right. So as we are toning out, you guys can find me on Twitter at InstantBitGhost. And of course, my content is the Xbox expansion pass on all your podcast services and YouTube. And you can always drop tips in the tip jar over there. Let me know, good sir, Ains. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm interviewing the developers for Star Trek Resurgence later this week. Really excited about that. That game is really good if you're a Star Trek fan. It's made by Telltale guys. So if you like those kind of games, or you're a Trekkie, or both, it's good in every category. So that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Looking forward to that interview for sure. Ains, what you got coming up for Bitcast, man? I feel like you kind of teased it a little bit, but go ahead.
Yeah, Got a lot going on. So my Diablo 4 review's up. Like I said, you can check that out, written or video. On Thursday, I have a build video going up. I had to wait for the launch due to some embargo rules because it's 25 minutes long about Druid. But like I said, if you want to know and understand more about building your character in Diablo 4, check it out. I promise it'll help you. And then Friday morning, I'm part of a Good for Gaming, which is a bigger charity streaming organization. I'm doing a live stream from 9 to noon Eastern, I believe, of Diablo 4 as part of a larger 84-hour charity stream to support the Trevor Project. So
Awesome.
Supporting our LGBTQ friends, and they support funding for basically suicide for marginalized groups. So I'm going to be playing 3 hours on that.
Prevention.
Yeah, you can't say it like that.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm trying to think through too many things. Suicide prevention, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I say suicide groups?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's like when
God.
people are like, we're streaming for cancer, and it's like,
Yeah. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. So
Here,
if you could swing by on that,
he thinks he's back to the target,
yeah.
I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
So if you could swing by on that, that'd be greatly appreciated. I've been part of that group for a long time. I've never actually live streamed for them as part of their big events. So that'll be fun. And then Sunday on Bigcast, obviously you have me and you have Travis, who did the Diablo review for IGN. We'll be talking more about Diablo there and more about some other things as well, including some things I think he couldn't talk about next week. So as always, just check us out over there. And then next week, yes, flying to LA, and I'll be doing some content from the Xbox stuff live and during that time period as well. So busy couple weeks.
Let's take a minute and note that Dan came into this chat. Dan from Bitcast came into this chat only to be mean to me and then left. Joe talked mad crap about him not 5 minutes prior, and he's
I
like,
love
Luke
Dan.
sucks.
I would never.
Uh-huh.
You said the old guys on Bitcast.
No. Dan, as usual, he didn't say a goddamn peep while Travis is arguing.
I'm convinced Dan doesn't listen. I think Dan puts on the headphones to tell his wife he's podcasting while he watches a movie or something.
Dan definitely checks out at times. No doubt. Rob says, when is this? I was doing something else. So Friday morning, I believe it's 9 a.m. to 12 Eastern. Just look at my Twitter because they're starting on Thursday, and I think they're going all the way to Sunday. It's like one continuous live stream on the channel. It's good. The number 4 gaming. And I'll be part of that. So just keep an eye out.
And for me, you can find me over at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can find the Trophy Room at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. And not to get into my whole big rant here, I just want to first say thank you. We hit a combined total of 1,000 reviews.
That's nuts, dude.
Across Apple and Spotify podcasts.
That's
Never
nuts.
did I think those words would be uttered. That was our year goal. We got done with it before June.
Wow. And it's like a 2.2 star average, I think. It's pretty good.
Something around there. Yeah. Well, someone called us woke warriors, and and to answer that, I go, come follow me, thine, My Chemical Romance shirt wearing, neon blue haired warriors. Let us fight the good fight. So thank you all so much. It's been just incredible to watch the growth of the Trophy Room over the past few months. It's just
crazy, man.
It's wild. Yeah. That said, then on the bummer note, we lost a lot of patrons. So patreon.com/@PS Trophy Room. What happened? Did you find out I'm not a real PlayStation fan because I never played Metal Gear Solid 3 because I was 11 years old? I was 11.
If we're talking about Patreon, I'm one away on our tier 3 thing.
As soon as you said Patreon, Luke was taking over. Come on.
I have to eat this thing from KFC, this double down. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh no, you gotta eat a sandwich and you're perfectly healthy. Oh no.
A double down will kill me.
I gotta read a guy's name who's Banger McBangingson the third. You don't get it. All right, I'm at the lowest I could get right now. That's one of our newest patrons. His name's Mr. McBangerson or something like that.
Oh,
that's not who it is.
Is that you, Luke?
No, it's not. But I know who it is. And
they're
like, "Guess what I'm doing to Joe."
Patreon.com/@PS Trophy Room. I'm willing to do the lowest of the lows, like reading Banger and Slanger on the show.
How am I the villain in this story, by the way?
You suck. You suck. Anyway, so you can find the Trophy Room PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. This week, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of, honestly, rough news for PlayStation, rough news for some, video game publishers like Embracer, who thought they could run a 130 plus dev studio publishing arm. It's nuts. All that and more. Again, you can check out our Ben Starr interview in the coming weeks. So that's all I got. And with that said, keep casting that go up.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
That was really.
I didn't know
you
stuff.
did a really bad job on that one.
Yeah, that was sucked. You've built up a level of expectation of a showcase at the end of the show that I wanted to see, and you didn't deliver at all. You
right.
really are the PlayStation guy.
That was the state of play of goodbyes.
Keep.
Days Gone sequel.
Keep.